You've got to decide in life when whether you're going to be a victim or whether you're going to be victorious. And at that moment, you could have said, oh, well, you know, he's doing this because I'm a black woman, he's doing this, blah, 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 blah. Well, yes, all of that may well have been true, that he was dismissive. I do not believe that he would have treated a white male colleague like that. I don't think he would have done that. You remember when Bobby Christina died? How sad that was.
Yes.
And the narrative was that she was so depressed and that she had been, you know, doing all kinds of things, and that it was nearing the anniversary of Whitney's death. And so they said that she had committed suicide. I have a colleague who came to me and he said, look, Glenda, I just really need you to come on this case as co-counsel. We took that wrongful death case to court and we won because we proved in a civil action, because the civil standards are not as high as the criminal ones. But in a civil proceeding, we proved that he killed her, that it was not suicide. And we got a $36 million verdict in that case. And the reason I took that on, and you know, I mean, whether we will ever collect the $36 million was not the point. But I stood up and did the closing argument, because David, my co-counsel, who I just think is terrific, he said, Glenda, what I need most from you is for you to stand up and do the closing. And my theme for the closing, frankly, was I raise my voice today for a young woman who no longer can raise hers. I wasn't playing with them, Jamie. I wasn't playing.
But wait a minute, who would have wanted you?
It would have been the estate, so it would have been
the estate would have won. But what happened to the $36 million? Even though you won for the estate.
Well, what will happen is that the boyfriend will never, if he gets $1, the estate's gonna get 99 cents of it. So this whole thing about going and writing a tell-all book, or doing a movie, or he says he's going to produce music, whatever he gets, there is a judgment against him. Because he cannot go out and get rich and profit over this young woman's death.
So why can't he go to jail? I mean,
because that's a good question. The question becomes, the DA did not prosecute this case.
What?
I'm telling you.
Why didn't they?
Well, I think there's several things. I think that the problem is that the police, frankly, when they were investigating, and I was not involved in this stage of the case. I came in later on the civil side. But when they were investigating the case, the assumption was that she was a druggie and that she was in the bathtub and she tried to reenact
her mother's death.
Right,
her suicide.
That did not happen.
Okay. What did not happen?
She
didn't try to do that. That's what you said. How do you know what? How do you know what happened?
Because we were able to go back and reconstruct it in the way that the police and the DA did not, and we were able to show that she had been a victim of domestic violence.
Yes.
That the injuries to her were not a result of this accident, car accident she was in. And that the way that she was drowned, it was not suicide. It was not suicide. And
was he in court when you all? He wasn't there.
He wasn't there.
Okay, who was there? Was the family there?
The family was there. Bobby Brown was there.
Okay.
Was there, and he literally just hugged me when the verdict came. He hugged me because he never believed that she committed suicide, and we were able to prove in court that she didn't. So what I am doing now is taking on cases that I believe in, be they police misconduct cases, whether it's wrongful death cases primarily, is what I'm doing, some civil rights cases, And I am able to do them all over the country.
Is it unfair, though, that a judge would judge you after you have been a judge all this time? Would there be any kind of leaning towards you? Would it be, you know...
I would hope not, because I believe that I'm good enough to win on my own without any favoritism. Now, I do tell you that if, God forbid, somebody, you know, we ended up in court and I'm representing you in the case, I do think it helps for me to be on your side of the table.
Yeah.
I really do think that helps. And I think, and I've had defense attorneys complain that the jurors know me and recognize me.
You, right.
And my point is, you can't disqualify every juror who says they know me, right? I'm going to play by the rules, but I do believe that it is to my client's advantage that people trust me and know me, right? And so...
Do you pay more for that? Do they pay you more for that? Or your fees are the same? Or
my fees are pretty much the same.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot. It's a lot. Well, you pay for what you get. You pay for what you get. But now on the contingency case, it's like a wrongful death case, right? Have a case, trucking accident, somebody kills my client, I'm going to have the same. But now if you come to me on advice on something, and you're paying me on an hourly basis, you pay for my knowledge and my expertise.
Give me some other examples of that.
Yeah.
So that perhaps the female and the male can maybe avoid confrontation, lose a battle, or something that is important to them. Because we fire off. We just... And I'm capable of doing that. I mean, you know, I grew up in Dixie Hills in Atlanta, Georgia, so trust me, I can go there. But what I have said that there are teachable moments. Right, I want teachable moments.
Teachable moments, teachable moments. So, if you go into a situation and you feel that you've been discriminated against because you are black, you are a woman, and you're saying, wait a minute, then the question becomes, how do you adjust? I'm not saying that you should roll over. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. It's very important to make that distinction. But how do you adjust in those circumstances to not get so buried in the woe is me? Because the truth is that I have had to be better. I know I've had to be better. And I have accepted the fact that I've got to be better, right? And that it's not fair, it's not right, it's just a horrible situation, but that is the hand I was dealt. And so because it's the hand I'm dealt, and this is the teachable lesson for all of us, is that we then sometimes just have to reshuffle the deck. And we got to figure out how we play to our strengths.
What was the worst case you ever had?
It's been so many, Jamie. One of the worst cases I ever had was a young girl whose mother came to the court and said, Judge, you know, please find her. If you don't, you have to find her because they're going to kill her if they find her, right? This is the backstory. She had left home about 3 months before. Now, honey, if I had left home for one day, I may as well just keep on going. Just gone down to Greyhound, try to find somebody to bus. She'd been gone for almost 3 months, right? So the mother came to the court. Fast forward, we found her and we brought her in for this hearing. She had been gone for 3 months. Her mother didn't know where she was. She had been going through an initiation for a gang.
Ooh, for 3 months too.
3 months. So it started off with the simple things of, you know, you had to steal something, you had to do this, you had to do that. Then it became, you know, you've got to do an armed robbery. You have to have sex with the gang member. You have to have, then she was gang raped by the members of the gang. And then the last stage.
Was it raped or was it actually, did she have to do, well, it is kind of rape, but she had to do it.
And plus all these guys were, I mean, they just ran a train on her. I mean, they just gang raped her as part of the gang initiation. And so then the last thing was that she had to kill someone. And she came to her senses and she ran. And they came looking for her at her mother's house. Her mother really didn't know where she was, but they thought she was harboring. The mother was harboring her. So they beat her mother up really badly. So that's how it got to my court. So I'm sitting there in court, and I'm trying to explain to the mother, I don't have a choice but to take her into protective custody, because if not, I'm going to be signing her death warrant, and maybe the mother's as well.
How old was she?
She was 15.
Okay.
15 years old. It turned out, Jamie, that the person that she was ordered to kill was her own mother.
Was her mother? What kind of game is that?
To do loyalty.
You have to
prove loyalty, that you have disengaged, that you have no ties, and the ultimate proof of that was to have killed her mother, right? My 15-year-old who had her 4th child by the time she was 16. I've seen a 15-year-old paid assassin. I mean, if you can think of it, I have seen it that much worse.
How did you raise your children after you listened to and saw all of this?
You know,
how did it affect your raising it?
That is a really wonderful question, because I actually talk about that. And what I explain is that actually being a mother made me a better judge. Because I came home, and that was the balance in my life. That I saw all these horrible things going on with children who had been neglected, abused, beaten to death on one side, kids who've been committing horrible crimes on the other side. And I come home to these 2 little boys. And it was just that place in my life that was joyful when I'd seen so many horrible things. And my children gave me the strength and inspiration to really try to make it better for other children. I still think you raise children. I do. I raised my sons. But I tell you, the basic things we've got to get back to.
And what are they?
And that is the value of family. You got to have a sense of family, and you got to have a sense of really having wonderful expectations of your children. And what I tell parents all the time is that every child doesn't have to be an honor student. You know, your child may not be an honor student. The question is, are you encouraging them to do the best they can?
Right.
You know, what standards? Are we setting curfews for our daughters, and our sons don't even know how to spell curfew, let alone have a curfew? Are we letting our sons take our credit cards and go and check into a hotel after the prom and expecting our daughters to be home and saying, oh, well, they're just kind of sowing their wild oats. Well, they're sowing their wild oats with somebody's daughter. I mean, is the standard so different in the way that we're raising our sons? And the question that I ask parents all the time, and it gets real quiet, I will say, and I was not a perfect parent. I tell people I was not a perfect child. I was not a perfect parent. My children aren't perfect, but I tried hard to get it right. But Jamie, this is the question that we all have to ask ourselves in our community. And that is, are we raising our sons to be men in a way that you would want your daughter to marry somebody exactly like your son? And if the answer is no, we are having problems.